Legends, I hope you're all fantastic. This nifty little device, only took one take to get that, I swear, is the Boss Katana Go. You plug this little bit of it into your guitar, you plug the headphones into a set of headphones and put them around your noggin, and you get a bunch of the Boss Katana sounds, all in this, without anything else. It does have access to Bluetooth and a mobile editor that you can play with, but you can edit most of your sounds on the unit directly. On the side, you can see there is a small little volume control along with 3 little buttons that let you select between 3 different sounds in a given bank. On the other side, we've got our Bluetooth connection, the stage feel button, and an on and off control over there. There we go. It helps if I hold it right there. I'm going to go through a bunch of sounds that are built into this unit. Using the software editor first, I'm just going to use the brown variation mode with a bunch of the built-in modulation and echo effects over a little jam track that I made. It's available on my Patreon. Shout out to Ed and the team at Boss in Australia for getting one of these to me so that I can make this video. You can hear the cockies up in the tree making a bunch of noise, so I think it's time to have a jam. Katana Go hooked up to the Bluetooth editor, and I just want to go through this and dial in some tones from scratch. I'm going to start with the sound that I dialed in over that little jam track. Hopefully the screen capture that I put up while I was doing that gave you a general idea of the workflow on here. If you've used the editor for any of the other Katana products, it's going to seem very familiar. You have a page for the amps, so you can select between the main Katana modes along with the variations on there. I've got the brown type with the gain cranked right up. You can come over here and see the EQ settings as well. You can even play around with the cab resonance control on there. Then you've got all of your effects in here. You've got a boost section, a mod section, an effects section, 2 delay sections, which I really like, a reverb section, there's a solo boost, this contour control over here, and you've got the ability to have a pair of EQs, a noise suppressor, and then a pedal effects. You can hook up a wireless pedal, whether it's something like a generic MIDI pedal or it's one of the Boss wireless pedals on there to control that effect on there. Furthermore, there's a built-in tuner that you can get access to over here, and you can change between a bunch of preset effects chains on here. You can see at the moment I've got the boost and the mod before the amp, then everything else is after the amp. There's a bunch of different variations on there. It's not a freely movable grid on there, but you know, for something that fits in your pocket, I think there's a pretty good selection of options there. So let's just go back to the amp, and I'll let you hear where I've got this dialed in at the moment. You know, the gain is cranked right up, and I'll let you hear it with all the effects. I'll take the effects off, we'll come back and just play around with the main amp modes. This is a PRS SE DGT. See there that is pretty easy and pretty fun to noodle around with all the options on there. If you're familiar with the Katana series, you'll probably have a bunch of favorite effects and setups that you want to reach for immediately. If you're not familiar with it, it's pretty caveman proof on here because it's just a bunch of classic Boss effects, as well as a bunch of effects that Boss have never made in a standalone format, like the center OD and a few others in there. But a lot of the time you can just kind of bring up your favorite amp model, add a bit of delay, some modulation and reverb. You've got headphones on, you're just having a very, very good time dialing in some grease. One really interesting thing on here is if you go to the system setup and you are playing on headphones, this is a feature that I imagine is coming from the Wazza headphones, is the stage feel settings. So at the moment I've got this off, but there's a couple of preset modes and it basically places the guitar and then any incoming audio into slightly different parts of the stereo spectrum on there. And you can adjust that with the ambience level. So I've got the crunch amp at the moment. Let's check out what it... So it's an interesting combination of some ambience and some spatial effects in there, essentially to create a bit more of an amp in the room vibe going on there. You do have your usual selection of system parameters on here. If you want to set up a wireless pedal, you can get access to the owner's manual, set up your USB audio. Like I said at the start of the video, this is also a USB audio interface if you just want to record your guitar onto your computer really quickly and easily in there. Few other little things on here. There's a librarian function and the Boss Tone Exchange if you want to download patches and bump them into this. Furthermore, there is a session setting in here so you can import audio, whether it's from the internet or from your local storage on your device, and then stream that and play along to it, which is pretty cool. So I've got that little Sorrow backing track that I was jamming on at the start of the video bumped in over there. Again, you've probably already got a smartphone that you're carrying around with you at all times. So the ability to let this interface with it and then just do some guitar practicing, whether you're traveling, whether you want to use this as like a kind of pre-gig backstage warm-up thing, or whether you're just a beginner and you've got an iPad with sort of all your instructional materials on there and you just want to be able to kind of rip into that without setting up an amp or using a computer and plugins or something like that. That's going to work very nicely on there. While we're here, I'll just go through a few more effects on here. I'm going to change the chain up a little bit so that the modulation and the effects are in front of the amp and the delays and reverbs are after the amp over there. That way I can say change out this chorus for maybe something like a phaser, and there's a bunch of different options in here. Just stick with a 4-stage phaser in here with quite a low rate on there. Let's have a listen to what that does. That heavy octave with the phaser is a lot of fun on there, especially with a boost. So in terms of the boosts, if you take a look through the selection, most of the staples in there: clean boosts, mid boost, treble boost. You've got a blues driver, a natural OD, tube screamers, rats. You've got the metal zone, the HM2, the metal core in there, a big muff, an octave fuzz. Lots and lots of fun to be had with those. In the modulation section, some of the other options. Sorry, that's the effects section, which does overlap a bit with the mod section over here. So you've got pitch shifters, harmonizers, the Boss humanizer. There's a phase 90 sim in there. There's a flanger based on the MXR flanger in there as well. A slicer, ring modulator, so many wacky effects on there. In fact, it'd be interesting to think about using something like this in a traditional guitar rig where you basically just like tape it to your guitar and then you've got a bunch of built-in effects on there that you can use. And of course you can access them from the actual device rather than having to be Bluetoothed the whole time. The reverbs are fairly straightforward as there. You've got plate, room, hall, spring, and modulated reverb on there. Similarly, with the delays, you've got two delay sections in there. You've got a panning delay, a tape echo, stereo, analog, modulated, reverse, and the Boss SDE 3000 model in there. EQs, contours, and things like that are all fairly self-explanatory in there. The contour is kind of this like combination of an EQ that really kind of pushes you from like a mid-heavy thing to a mid-scooped thing that you can dial in on there. And then the most important thing is that you can just kind of plug this in and play and have a bunch of fun. So I'll give you a few more little examples to round out this video. If you want to know more about the Katana Go, I'll put a link in the video description. A big thank you to Ed and the team at Boss and Roland here in Australia for getting one of these out to me in advance so I could make this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you next time.